here we go, hour number 2. And we are taking phone calls throughout this hour of the program. 866-841-1065, the number to join us. And join us in the chat room at bobtuskin.com. That's what I was about to say. Join us in the chat room at bobtuskin.com, not Chom. All right, folks. And as always, please contact me at the website as well with any guest suggestions or whatever you like. Always love to hear from our listeners. We have Mark Passio on the line as well as Popeye from federaljack.com. And we will be taking calls throughout the program. When I get back in just a moment after this short segment, we'll talk with John from Arizona who's on the line and you. So you still have a chance to get on the line, call us up, and ask us about anything that's on your mind. Other than, let's see here, what can they not ask us about, guys? Can we have a list of things they can't ask us about? I guess they could ask us about anything. I want people to call up. Here's what I want people to call up about. I want them to call up if they disagree with us, you know, especially if they're like some of those really ignorant listeners we get once in a while that call us up and say, you know, Bob, you're a crazy 9/11 truther, conspiracy theorist, blah, blah, blah. I want to hear from those people especially, all right? So call us up. If you disagree with us, you go to the top of the list and we'll take your call. And speaking of 9/11, Mark, you're going to be shifting your show's gears a little bit and start to move towards 9/11, which you've done a great amount of research on, the occult aspects, the symbolism, all the different things that 9/11 represents. It's not just the cover-up that we may see on the surface. There's deep occult meaning behind it, huh?
Absolutely. And the symbolism goes very deep, and it requires an understanding of occult symbols at a pretty complex level, not just an understanding of simple symbols, but whole amalgamations of symbology that come together in this ritual, because that's what 9/11 was at a very high level. It was a ritual to transform and change human consciousness for the worse, because it was a hyper injection of fear into the mass consciousness. And this ritual really is what the globalists were using as a springboard to solidify their control all the more and hold the mind of the people in a state of fear, which is always easier to control somebody when they're in that modality. But what I'm going to be doing on the show, before we get into the occult aspects of it in detail over probably several weeks, I want to actually look at some of the physical aspects of it first. My background is actually in mechanical engineering, so I could take people through some of the actual equations that are necessary to help them to understand how the laws of physics simply could not have been suspended 3 times in one day, and what we see happen with our own eyes could not have occurred unless there were ulterior forces at work other than gravity.
It's that simple.
Yes. If you know the physics equations, the basic equations of dynamics, you can plug in the publicly available weights and measures of the World Trade Center and understand that what you see before your eyes is not even a possibility of a collapse.
Yeah.
But there had to be other forces at work.
Exactly right. Talk about 9/11. Even the FBI admits 9/11 was a, quote, controlled demolition job. All right, let's pick it right back up with more of the Bob Tuskin Show. As I promised, we will take some phone calls with any questions or comments on anything, and especially if you disagree with me. I want to hear from you. Toll free, 866-841-1065. Let's hear from John in Arizona. John, how are those fires treating you, man? It's a lot of wildfires there. I can relate, considering here in Florida we've been scorched as well.
Well, I'm not too close to them here in Tucson.
Yeah.
But you were talking about Melchizedek, and Melchizedek was one of the sons of Noah. that was Seth that started the Melchizedek order. I think it's near in. Am I on the air?
Yes, you are, sir.
Oh yeah, and he started it somewhere near in. Where are we fighting? Out by Baghdad somewhere. But
yeah, but what?
It started out there.
Sir, hold on a second. John, your radio's on, so you're confusing yourself because you hear yourself on the delay. That's what was wrong with that call. I was saying, what's going on with our buddy John? Why is he so slow? So, John, I have you on hold right now. Please put your radio off. I should have warned you about that. That way you don't confuse yourself, and you can tell us all the good information that you have. Mark, do you know anything about that?
Like I said, my knowledge of who Melchizedek is that it was he was biblically related. I knew he was of the line of Abraham somehow, and that he did found an order of a priest class of some type, but I don't have much more knowledge about it than that.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. All right, John, were you able to get your radio off, buddy?
Yeah, I got it off now.
All right, thanks. Go ahead.
But all this stuff, all these numbers and 11 and 1111 and all this stuff, that's just to keep your mind busy. These are interdimensional beings that are doing all this. They're controlling people. That are just giving you little toys to play with. It's like being a ceremonial magician. It's just a bunch of baloney. Is all it is.
Interdimensional beings.
It's a bunch of baloney.
John, what do you mean by interdimensional beings? That sounds pretty far out.
They're beings from another dimension that come back and forth from that dimension into this dimension. They're what we would call demons, spirits, gods, whatever you want to call them. But they're controlling all of the people, all the kings and presidents and all these rich bankers and everybody. We got no control over that. Mm-hmm. Talk to Scott about it. He'll tell you right off.
Oh, yeah. Scott from the Believers Underground?
Yeah. It's all a war between God and the dark side.
Well, in a way it is, and I appreciate your take on that because I see where you're coming from. What was your question that you had for us?
Well, I didn't really have a question. You just wanted to know who Melchizedek was, and,
right.
And I called up and told you.
All right, thank you for calling up and telling us. I appreciate that call. All right, folks, 866-841-1065 is the number to join us, and we'll take questions or comments on whatever you want, and always great to hear from the listeners. Well, Popeye, should we talk about the Wiener story? No, right?
I think it's been overdone. I really don't think anybody cares about
Does
Wiener
everybody know that he resigned? I know it's a major story.
Well, you know what I'd like to, there's only one thing I'd like to interject on this.
Okay, please do.
How come he has to resign over pictures of his wiener, but Barney Frank, who ran a male brothel, a gay brothel out of his house and was caught doing so, which it doesn't matter if it was a straight or gay brothel. It's illegal to run a brothel. That's prostitution. Okay. Yeah, he was running that out of his house. They knew about it, but they stopped going after him because he threatened to out other gay members of Congress, and they all shut up. So he gets to stay in. Nobody rides him. But Wiener's got to go. All the people involved with the Franklin cover-up that were molesting little boys from Boys Town, yeah, they can all stay in, but, hey, Wiener's got to go for taking a picture of his junk. Ridiculous. That's how you know that it's just media distraction.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
The Franklin cover-up. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Go look up the Franklin cover-up, and you'll find out exactly what I'm talking about. And you'll see, they're worried about Wiener taking a picture of his wiener, and you should look what they let go.
Go check out Boys Town and what happened there. It's the conspiracy of silence. Mark, your take on this distraction?
And that's exactly what it is, a distraction. And they're looking at a small fish when there's sharks in the waters all around them. You just mentioned Boys Town and the Franklin cover-up. My girlfriend Barb just recently made me aware of the fact that Charles Manson actually went to Boys Town, and that could shed a whole lot of light on him as a form of a Manchurian Candidate or a mind control project that went awry. Yeah. He attended Boys Town.
I never heard that before.
And how they're fueling the pedophile scene in high levels of power from that place. I don't know whether it's still going on today, but I know it was in full swing back during the time of the Franklin cover-up. And that's a book everybody needs to read and understand that this is who the so-called police are picking up for. They're protecting the pedophiles. They're not protecting us. You know, natural law, adherence to natural law is the only thing that can protect anybody. Certainly these police aren't adhering to that. They're protecting the pedophilia-driven demons that run amok all around us. You know, these psychopathic people that are in positions of power and influence and high finance, and they're helping them to just have their way with children. And, you know, it goes back to something that... you know, our good friend Jay Parker, who spoke at the Free Your Mind conference, you know, he had said that had told me in the past that when he attempted to even alert the police about the activities that were taking place in the cult that he was trapped within and tortured over years, that they said to him the actual words, "Better luck in the next life. Better luck in the next life, kid. We're not touching that because we know who's involved."
Wow.
They wouldn't go anywhere near their owners because that's what they have. They have owners. And, you know, people want to make excuses for police for the actions that they take and the things that they do and say this generalization that it's only a few bad apples. The institution is corrupt. When you give people who are unstudied people, who are unread people, who basically don't have any real intelligence, who have a destroyed brain because they're constantly living in the base brain, the fight or flight modality.
They actually recruit for people with low intelligence scores, IQ scores.
What do you expect you're going to get?
Lower than 100.
Them handling all of this power that they're handed with great responsibility and delicacy and care?
No.
Or are they going to go hog wild and do whatever they want? And that's what we're seeing. And then it's a brotherhood in and of itself. It's a you know, a secret society in and of itself, because these people don't really hang out and relate with your average person.
You're right. We might as well have Freemasons in their little dresses driving around the rest of the people. All right, folks, hold that thought. We'll have Steve Stars for a quick segment on the Wiener Distraction coming up.